Hey guys, back with another impressions video of this game right here, Final Fantasy XIII-2. I played through Final Fantasy XIII actually not too long ago. I'm surprised I jumped into this one so quick, but I kind of want to get to Lightning Returns. I know it's not quite at the price I want it to be yet. When it hits $20, that's when I'll pick that game up. But I just wanted to go through the 13 trilogy. And I had heard like this game was quite a lot better than Final Fantasy 13. I had some issues with 13. I liked it overall, but I definitely had a lot of issues with it. I didn't understand like the extreme hatred for that game, but at the same time I didn't go into it with like a lot of hype like a lot of other people did. But I was definitely excited to jump into this game because I heard this was quite a lot better. And in a lot of ways it is. And I'll say I do actually enjoy this quite a bit more than Final Fantasy 13. That said, though, I don't think I love this game. I think I just merely like it. I'll get into that a bit more, why I don't absolutely love this game. I think a lot of people really love this game. Start with the story. I don't want to talk about this too much because I don't want to spoil even Final Fantasy 13. In order to talk a lot about the storyline in this game, I'd have to reference events in Final Fantasy 13. I will say the storyline isn't completely necessary this time around. Like, I don't know why they even really needed to make a 13-2, even though this game does improve a lot of aspects of 13. But the story in this is quite a bit different than 13. 13, even though a lot of people say it's convoluted, if you follow like the data logs, it's not a really complex storyline. It's simple, but in a good way, I thought. With a good cast of characters. This game, obviously, you've got only two characters, Sarah and Noel, and the storyline itself involves time travel, and it's, you're going through different timelines and fixing timelines. You're I don't want to talk too much about spoilers here, but the story is really over the top, I want to say. I don't know quite the word for it. It's just a lot more complex than Final Fantasy 13. It's not hard to understand or anything like that. I don't know if I like the direction they went in with this game. I mean, I like time travel generally, and a lot of this game is cool. Like, I loved kind of like, seeing how different timelines differed. If you came to a certain location like years in the future, and seeing how things changed and how the world changed. I liked that aspect. Although the main story itself, I didn't love in this game. I thought it got better towards the end. Things got a bit more interesting towards the end, and the ending I actually really like in this game. I thought the ending was actually really. Some people might hate it. I actually loved it, just because I'm a fan of the type of endings that this game has. The characters, Sarah. She's okay. I found her kind of boring, to be honest. Like, she's got good motivations, and she definitely gets a bit more interesting towards the end. But I don't know. I thought Noel was kind of a more interesting character in terms of how he kind of fit in with the storyline. Although he can be annoying sometimes as well. And again, he got quite a lot more interesting towards the end. The standout character in this game for me, though, was the villain, Caius. I don't want to kind of explain his motivations, but his whole arc is, I think, very interesting, and his motivations are very interesting. Definitely a really well-rounded villain, I thought, and he was definitely pretty great. But the story overall, I thought it was decent. I don't know. I kind of almost preferred 13's story, to be honest. I think I might have maybe preferred that game's kind of, maybe more simple storyline. The fact that he had a good cast of characters, like not just two characters, as in with this game. You do see there are some returning characters from Final Fantasy 13, which I liked. One character that shows up in this I like him a lot better in this compared to what he was like in 13. But that's all I really want to say about the story. I don't want to talk about it too much just because of spoilers, and it's very hard to talk about this game without spoiling either this or Final Fantasy 13. But visually, I'll talk about the gameplay last. Visually, it's, it looks like Final Fantasy 13, which is a gorgeous game, and this is no different. The only thing I'll say is like there was like weird frame rate issues in like cutscenes, not in the actual game, just in the cutscenes. It's not not great. It doesn't really hamper my enjoyment of the game or anything, but it was noticeable. Sound wise, the voice acting's good for the most part. Well, actually, it's more than good. The voice acting's actually really really great. I must say. The music, a lot of people I've heard say like the music is amazing in this game. I It's probably just not for me. There are a lot of vocal tracks in this game, with singing to in them, which I'm not personally into that as far as video games go. Like I kind of prefer the more like instrumental tracks in video games, and there are definitely some of those in this game, and those are the really standout tracks for me. I think the only song with vocals in it I liked was your starting village. The song that plays there I really liked. So I'm kind of mixed on the soundtrack. I think some people would probably love it, especially if you're into the vocal tracks. I just didn't care for them that much. I thought they were kind of cheesy, and I don't know. And the one song that plays, the vocal song that plays at the very ending, during the ending sequence, I thought was completely out of place. Like, it just did not fit the tone of the ending, and what was going on during that ending. Like, it was really a really cheesy and bad song too. I thought that just didn't fit. I'm surprised they went with a song like that. But yeah, the soundtrack overall is good. There's definitely some great songs here, but I gotta say, I think I preferred Final Fantasy XIII's soundtrack, which I definitely was not expecting. And finally, I'll talk about the gameplay. The flow of this game is quite a bit different than 13. 13, of course, very linear for most of the game, like hallways with very few branching paths, and then it really opened up in the end. Where this game, it's the time travel aspect makes this game flow in an interesting way, where you can go to different timelines, and you're basically collecting like these fragments. And you can kind of jump to different timelines, you can unlock different ones. There's almost always more than one way to go, and a few different things you can be doing. It's not. I'd say it's hard to describe because it's not as open ended as I thought it would be, but it's got some linearity to it as well. I actually really enjoy the flow of the game though, and I've never played a game like this where you're kind of jumping through time and checking out different places in the future. Because of this, though, there's a lot of backtracking in this game because you're constantly revisiting the same areas. The areas themselves I really love. I think the environment design in this game is stunning. A lot of cool environments. But there is a lot of backtracking. Final Fantasy 13 had like a lack of towns and side quests. This game, there's towns, there's side quests. The towns are almost too confusing in this game, though. Like, a lot of these areas are kind of mazy. I mean, you have your map that helps out, but I got lost. Well, didn't really get lost, but I always kind of struggled to find out exactly where I needed to be going. And it's more annoying when you're trying to find all the fragments. I think there's like 160 fragments you can get in this game. And I think the more you get determines some different endings. There's one certain ending that you'll have to get, I think, if you follow the path I did. But again, I'm kind of confused on a lot of this game in terms of how you get the different endings. I've heard, depending on how many fragments you get, the final boss will be easier. I didn't get very many, which brings me to one of my complaints with the game. It has to do with like the fragments. I just found, like, at first I had like this OCD mentality where I was just going for all the fragments. I was really into that. But the further I got into the game, the more annoying it became. It's just a lot of these fragments are just really obscure in like how you're supposed to find them, and a lot of the side quests involved, or at least the side quests in this game, I thought were really tedious. Like, they're like fetch quests basically, and they involve a lot of backtracking that I thought that kind of got on my nerves after a while. Like later in the game, there's this part where you have to find these 5 graviton cores. Like, that was the point in this game where I started to like it less. Like, in terms of gameplay, I actually liked this game less the more I played it. Like, this is a short game. This game took me, at least the way I played it, because I just didn't want to go for all those fragments. Like, eventually I got to the point where I was just like, fuck it, I'm just going to the end of the game now. I can't. Because without a guide, it's basically impossible getting these fragments. And I don't like playing my games with a guide, and I refuse to look up a guide for this game, so I had a very small amount of fragments at the end game, so the final boss was pretty tough for me, I guess. I don't I don't remember how many fragments I had. It was less than 100, I can say that. It wasn't very many. I didn't get very many. And there's so many in this game. And I didn't get to visit all the areas in the game. But like the Graviton Core segment was really fucking annoying, I thought. Like, they basically send you all across the world to get these Graviton Cores that are scattered throughout these different timelines. But all they have to, like, the only information they give you as to where the locations are these small pictures that show, like, the area you need to go to and then a picture of where it would be. And it's just not enough to go on. Like, this part took me forever to find these cores because they're so well hidden. Like, too well hidden for my tastes. I don't know. It definitely, like, this fragment system and the flow of the game got annoying to me by, like, the 15-hour mark. And this game took me, like, 23 hours to beat. It's pretty short if you kind of rush through it like I did, which I did feel like doing because I don't know, getting all the fragments, like, to people that 100% this game, like, kudos. Like, I could never do that. Like, I'd go insane. Like, I would lose it. But it started off fun for me, but eventually it didn't. The locations are interesting and varied. Towards the end of the game, though, I got annoyed with kind of, like, the puzzles in this game. Like, there's, like, the final dungeon area, like, you're going, like, it's got some platforming where you're jumping across, like, these bricks that will rotate once you, like, or rotate randomly. So there's a lot of waiting involved, and then you, like, press A on these orbs that, like, change, like, the positions of these bricks. Like, it's a really annoying dungeon that goes on way too fucking long. Other than that, there's, like, the maze-like areas that I mentioned before that are really annoying to navigate. There's, like, these temporal rift areas where there are, like, these puzzles where you, like, connect crystals in one area. Then there's, like, a clock thing that you have to, like, make the clock hands go to different spots. Like, these puzzles I hated. Like, they were so irritating for me. And there's a lot of them in the game, especially if you want to get all the fragments. There are so many of these puzzles that you have to go through. Like, there's one timeline in the game, like, one area I jumped to that the whole entire area was just these temporal rift puzzles to get these fragments. I made it halfway through this area, and I was just like, fuck it, I'm leaving. I'm gonna just go through the main storyline. There's a casino. I mean, there's a lot of side quests. There's a lot of content in this game, which I like. I mean, this is overall probably a good improvement over 13. Like, there's the casino, there's chocobo races, there's all this all this optional content. I just didn't really feel the need to do it for me personally. Some people will probably get really into that stuff. I just found it kind of to be a pain. The battle system is pretty much the same. You still got your paradigms that you switch between. And the battle system I thought was more fun here, mainly because it seems a bit faster, and there are no longer bosses with 1,000,000 HP, which that to me was a huge improvement. In fact, the boss battles were just more fun. That said, the game is quite a bit easier now. This game is a lot easier than 13. Overall, like, the bosses are pretty easy. In fact, the only part I really struggled was the final boss. But I didn't mind that so much. I'll take that over bosses with 1,000,000 HP any day. So the battle system, overall, I like it. I still don't love this battle system. It's just not my thing, really. The switching the paradigms and, like, the real-time turn-based hybrid. The Crystarium system is actually completely, well, not completely different, but it's slightly different. In this game, I actually like it better. It's a bit simplified. Like, you have your roles in the beginning, like 3 different roles, and you can kind of level them up to the max, like, immediately, like to level 99. And then the more you progress through that Crystarium, you can unlock, like, a bonus ability where you can choose to unlock another role, or, like, level up the role that you're currently leveling up to, like, have it be stronger. It's definitely less confusing, and it's not like this big wide chart, like, filled with all these different Crystariums and different pathways. Like, it's just one pathway. But I liked how simplified it was, and it even though it was simplified, it still felt like you had more freedom since there wasn't, like, caps. Like, you could kind of level up the Ravager role to the highest level pretty quickly. You can do this with your 2 characters. And then they have this monster collecting element to this game, where every monster you fight, you can, like, capture them, and they're your third party member. They have a Crysterium system, but instead of like using Crysterium points, you use like items that you find like from battles, which are they're rarer than I thought, and you have to like get better materials to level up your monsters to higher levels. Monsters have like different kind of level caps. The monster system is okay. I didn't hate it as much as I thought I would. I usually hate these kind of systems. It can be kind of fun like going after certain monsters and seeing like their bonus abilities and stuff like that. But through the midpoint of the game, I eventually found like three monsters, or six monsters of different roles, because they each have their different like role, like Ravager or Sentinel or whatever. And you switch between three of them, like and in battle, because you can only have three out. Like it's like that third party member is effectively three monsters that can be switched out and have like the same health bar. So I always got like the late bloomer ones that could be like raised to level 70. And I just stuck with those through the rest of the game. I did find it like a bit annoying because I just never had enough materials to level them up as much as I would have liked. Like they were all at a pretty low level, for me at least. Because again, I didn't spend much time grinding in this game, or going after all the fragments. But yeah, the monster system, it's okay. To be honest though, I probably would just prefer another character. I think that would have been better for me. I just prefer like just singular characters as opposed to like monsters that you just collect, or like a bunch of different party members that you get. But I didn't hate it. I definitely didn't hate it as much as I thought I would. But yeah, I think that about covers it for Final Fantasy 13-2. There's probably some stuff I missed. Overall, an enjoyable game. Definitely a step up in a lot of areas compared to Final Fantasy 13. I'm definitely excited to play Lightning Returns, although I know a lot of people aren't too thrilled about that game. I don't think it's all that great. It's intriguing to me. And the ending of this game definitely gets you hyped for Lightning Returns for sure. So that will do it, guys. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.